Okay guys, welcome into another video. I'm going to be teaching you guys exactly how you can use Synthflow calendars to book into multiple time zones at the same time. So this is going to solve a lot of issues, but the first thing that I'm going to be discussing would be the time zone issue. So I'm going to make sure that you guys are completely settled in and have this dialed in by the end of the video. So make sure to stick through the whole video. Obviously there's going to be extra things in the end, so make sure to tune into those as well. Let's get straight into it. Okay guys, so we're going to be using a couple of things here to be able to make this happen. There's going to be 4 specific things that you need to know and implement in order to be able to get this to work. So the first one is going to be the prompt. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure that your prompt is perfect in a sense of being able to book meetings in different time zones. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. The second one is going to be an info extractor that converts the time of the appointment from the user's time zone to our original time zone that was set. That's the second one. The third one is going to be a custom action that allows you to get the free slots of a calendar within GoHighLevel or whatever calendar you're trying to use. That's the third one. Now the fourth one is going to be booking in the appointment after the meeting, after the call with the assistant finishes. So that way it uses the time gathered from the info extractor and essentially books it in using the automation. These 4 things are going to allow you to make an assistant capable of booking into multiple different time zones. Let's get on straight into it, into the first one, right? So within the first one, as you can see right here in front of me, you will see there is a section that asks for the user's time zone. Let's go ahead and jump straight into that section. All right, so here it is. Right here, first of all, the first thing that we want to do when booking the appointment in this section, we're going to want to collect the user's time zone. So our original time zone is going to be set as Eastern. This is where we want to be booking meetings into. Now, if somebody goes in here, right, and they have a conversation with the assistant is first going to ask them, what time zone are they currently in, right? Because we usually book meetings in Eastern time. That's exactly what it's going to tell the person. Once that happens, the person can either say, oh, I am in Eastern time, or I am in Pacific time. Let's just say in this example, they're in Pacific time. With them being in Pacific time, this is then going to collect the fact that they are in Pacific time and then give them available times that are in Pacific time, right? And you guys are able to copy this right here straight off the bat. This section is exactly what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm just going to explain it with words rather than just reading it out from here. So once the assistant is capable of grabbing that time zone that the user is currently in, is then going to propose times that it gathers from the get free slots custom action that I'm going to show you guys in just a second. Then once it gathers those times, it's going to convert those times into the user's time zone. So that way it tells the user, okay, perfect. We have an availability at 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, or 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, for example, right? And it's going to book in that user into that specific time slot in Pacific time until it reaches this point right here, where it's going to confirm the exact time that the user chose, right, to have that meeting. Then it's going to convert it into Eastern time. So as you can see right here, it's going to say it in Eastern time, or you could even have it say it in their own time zone. It won't matter because I'll show you guys right now in the info extractor how that would work. Now, let's jump straight into the info extractor. We're going to go over to after the call, and then we're going to go click on this appointment date. So here we are basically grabbing what the assistant said, because remember, the assistant is confirming what time the appointment was set to, including mentioning the time zone that it was set to. So no matter what time zone it says, let's say here it's going to go convert the time that the user picked into an Eastern Standard Time. The format shown right here is the format that we need to book it inside of GoHighLevel. So hopefully you guys are following along with that. Now, if the user booked this time into, let's say, tomorrow, or like, let's say Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, would convert this into 6 p.m. Eastern time when booking in the time on GoHighLevel. That's the main goal of this info extractor right here, as you can see. Once you grab that, right, and you make sure that that's all set, have the info extractor set up along with the prompt, then going to set up custom action. And this custom action, how do we add it? So this is essentially how you're going to go about doing it. Basically going to on this plus sign right here. On the plus sign, you're going to go ahead and select marketplace templates, go to level, then You're going to find the one that says get calendar slots, which is right here. Here, you can basically click on create, and it's going to send you to this right here, as you can see. This is exactly what you're going to see. I'm going to replace this variable that you can see right here, your own calendar ID. Now, how do you get your calendar ID? What you're going to do to get your calendar ID is go over to calendars, calendar settings, the calendar you want to select, copy this little thing right here, and paste it with that right there. You're going to connect this with the calendar that you want to book into. Once you do that, you make your connection, you make sure that everything is authenticated. To authenticate everything, you want to make sure that you have these exact settings right here. And then from there on out, you should be all set and done with up your custom action that you need to do. Once you finish this, you are then going to have to set up an automation so that whenever you finish the call itself, it goes through that automation and essentially it books in that time for the user. This is essentially the automation that you're going to be using, so that way you can copy this step by step pretty much through here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to set up a trigger. Now from this trigger, you're going to copy the URL. So the trigger is going to be an inbound webhook trigger. So whenever you finish a call, you send the information from that call over to this automation. That's what it does. All right, so we're going to go over to the assistant real quick, right here. We're going to go to deployment, and you're going to paste that trigger on here. Once you paste the trigger, it's going to send you a mapping reference, which you're then going to map out, select it, and then you're going to click Save Trigger. Select that. You can then proceed with the steps. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find instance contact, do the updated version of GoHighLevel so I can show you guys exactly how it works. So in this case, we can move all actions from here. We can make a go-to action whenever a contact is found, just to update the contact information on there. But if a contact wasn't found, we then create a contact with the contact information grabbed from here, right? So we want to find the contact using the phone number from the user itself. So that way we can identify if they existed or not, or if they've called before or not. Now, once you have that, and you either created the contact or updated the contact, you're then going to figure out what happened during the call, right? Did the call reach voicemail? Did the call fail? Or did they answer the call? Now, if the call was answered, the status of the call from Synthflow itself is going to mark it as completed. If it failed, it's going to mark it as failed. And if it reached voicemail, it's going to mark it as either hang up on voicemail, no answer, or busy. So make sure you have those noted down so that way you can create your automation just like so. Then after this, we add them into their own pipeline stages. Right? In this case, they reach voicemail. I add them into the Synthflow Mortgage Reactivation CRM, or whatever CRM you currently have as a pipeline stage. And then from here on out, you're able to either send them voicemails, however you want to do it, but we're not discussing that in this one. So I add them either into their own opportunity stage, as you can see right here, or if they did answer the call, I actually add a note. So that way we understand what happened throughout the call. Okay? From here, I remove all of the tags that I might have added before. They might be a recent caller that called for the second time, for example, right? So if you want them running the second time through this automation, you don't want the tags that were added to them in the past added again, right? So you want to remove the tags every single time that they go through this workflow. So I do that. And here I understand whether if they were busy during the time, if they were interested in booked an appointment, interested in didn't book an appointment, not interested, or turned on do not disturb, which means they didn't have a good conversation and they didn't want to be contacted again, which you can do with info extractors. Now, what we're going to be discussing is if they did book the appointment, right? So if they did book an appointment throughout the conversation where the assistant always says, okay, perfect, I have you in for this time, that works. And then it confirmed the time and it made the info extractor go through here, right? Just as we planned. What's going to happen is it's going to, first off, update that appointment date, which is what we're going to be using, right, to book that appointment in. So this appointment value right here is going to be taken specifically from this info extractor that we set up together. Remember? Now with that, essentially it's going to give us the time that the user booked into. Okay? So after that happens, we just add a simple tag, that they booked the appointment, add them into their appropriate pipeline stage. And then here, whether it's in different calendars or not, in this case, it's just going to be Kevin's calendar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this factor to dynamic. And then here, I'm going to look up appointment date, and then select that. And then that's going to replace it with this. And now this is going to book that person into their own appointment. And essentially it's going to send them reminders based on their time zone. And of course, it's going to make your life a lot easier because essentially you get to see your bookings in your time zone and they're going to be able to see it in their time zone. Furthermore, allowing you to book into multiple different time zones using one singular assistant. So hopefully this video helped you guys out a lot. I am going to mention the fact that, so now that you know exactly how to make this happen, all I ask for you guys is to be able to drop down a like below. And of course, leave a comment if you did like the content. Of course, if you get the chance, obviously give a subscribe over to the channel. I do really appreciate each and every single one of you guys. And also thank you again for 500 subscribers. We're looking to grow a lot more. Content's only going to get better and better. And at the end of the day, I do have a community that you can get free snapshots in. You guys are going to be able to have everything, including access to me and me being able to answer any of you guys' questions that you may have and getting started with Voice AI. And of course, I do have an implementation team that can help you guys out with anything that you guys need in terms of implementation for Voice AI. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.